All right, so another sorcery idea that I have is basically like it's the rule of suction when it comes to music, and when the words come out and when they don't. Well, this is kind of stupid, but I mean this is a cup, and if you could, I mean if you get it right, um, probably some other container. And there's something. I mean you can use your hand, but I mean it's just not as good of a description. But anyway, using those rules, um, basically every time you listen to something, you want to be able to kind of like put three slits in the mouth, or like a few slits, not like three, but you got to be able to open up, all the sides of it, make it look like one of those. I don't remember. It used to be a little pack of firecrackers. There's like all these little cans, and you light on fire, it spins. It looks like that. But anyway, using the rule of suction, you realize that there's some universal rules that music is used for, and it's taking, something going this way and then letting it pile up in this area, and then that can continue that way, you know. And it's kind of like, letting it's almost like a song is a way to like put a tarp outside and have it hanging up like this and has a rock in the middle. So when the water rains down in that point, then it will slide down and then it will catch in that one spot, the liquid. And when we speak, we keep speaking and speaking and speaking. Every time you do like a run-on sentence, um, there should be a point here, where the you will swallow, and it's kind of counted, how long that takes for the swallowing to appear, for you to swallow. If you hold your breath or if you continue talking, more saliva comes out, more saliva continues. And, when you have an instructional video, you always swallow that excess amount of spit. What the thing that should be studied is, what that is, and also study, um, the suction and the spitting, and also, like when there's a rock in motion, like I was saying, it's like I always copy everyone, and it's just as bad as people with Tourette syndrome and stuff. When I copy people and I see how they move and I go right behind them like that, I get right behind everyone that does everything. That means I'm back there. I'm way in the back. Is what you have to try to learn about, and you have to learn about. Like if you just casually spit, it can be gross and disgusting. You know, but you also have to look at a baby. When it shits itself. When you were a baby and you shit yourself, didn't know how to shit. That is not true. But you can make it look like you didn't know how to shit. But when that happened, it was an exchange of fluids, and for me, I think that I did not have any control over what those fluids were, except for a big mess. Maybe a way to fight using my intestines, against things that did not feel right. But I don't think that that's right, and so learning how that works, learning how spitting a little bit and sucking it back up, what that resembles, because most people will not do that in front of someone. What children do, like picking your nose. There's another thing. You can sneeze. You can. There's a lot of things that has exchange of fluid that can represent something. It's important. And when you make a song, you want to make sure that nothing is coming out. Like, for example, like your nose. Like you don't want nothing to be like getting up like inside of your nose. While you're talking. Once it sound like if you're talking, it's coming out like this. That means that nothing is coming out. But then when it starts going like this, you can kind of tell on what it's doing, and you can see if it's seeping out. But I mean, I can make it sound exactly like not like this, with the nasal, and it shouldn't be that difficult. But I'm kind of showing you like, what it cycles through, things that look like stuff, and all kinds of stuff that it cycles through. What these lips represent, all of that, and and then while you're talking, it's really coming out. You gotta have a way for it to like not come out, and kind of like coo. You have to come up with words that are gonna like do something to stop it or let it keep coming, like, and so you can kind of monitor that, kind of like a traffic director, you could say. And you set the norm for things like that happen. I mean, if something is really strange like that, or anything that has to do with should I or should I not is really all that it is, when it comes down to the whole, sorcery of it, is that, something's going this way and it might go that way, and then you can say, yes, it will, and then it goes that way. You always make it go, goes that way, will go that way, goes that way, will go that way. You push it, make it goes that way, like directing the flow of that. Like if you're just sitting there and you're like, I mean, how is this going to benefit me? What is it showing me? What does it mean? Like if I'm sitting there and I'm like, like about to spit again, and it's just nasty looking. It is nasty looking. I'm just sitting there like, like just watching the spit go down and up and then sucking it up. I mean, if it doesn't look good, doesn't feel good, it looks weird, then, I mean, that is just like, that's like, that's just like, okay, there's privacy right here, and, I can open or close the door. But if I'm just opening or closing the door the whole time, it's saying like, all right, I can decide it's closed here, or I can decide it's open here. I can decide, either one. I can say no, yes, yes, no, no, or whatever, So learning that, you're going to, learn how to direct, what's said, when you say something like that. But anyway, it needs to be practiced and it needs to be learned. And, I mean, there's not really much else to learning it. But basically, the way to learn it is to kind of rock, and figure out the charades of it all. And, when you're doing something, be able to like look at the moment where you could say, this hand going across like this, or this motion being like this, or this being done or not being done, and it chose that represents something, that is now useful, And I mean, that's just like, learning the whole yoga of everything and how it all moves and everything, like how this looks like a rich person that, traveled and, speaking with your hands and all that. And, or whatever the motions symbolize, whatever it looks like, it has to have a full charade. And then you got to call out, when you don't get what's what. And then when you pick a way to sing, when you pick a way to speak, when you pick a way to move your hands, that it is saying, this is the way to go. You know what I'm saying? This is what I see. This is good. Let's go this way. And then this is where I'm at. And then we'll just kind of meet up with everybody, and then we'll just keep going with this way. It's just like jellyfish, just follow the waves, you know what I'm saying? And I mean, that is the practice, it's just figuring out how that works. And I mean, I think that, if it was like done like professionally, I think people should sit around in a group and, just kind of speak that way, just kind of figure out how it works and everything. And, just kind of see how the body fluid's changing. Open or close, doing what you're doing or not doing what you're doing, and, obviously doing what you're doing and not doing what you're doing, or doing what you're doing or not doing what you're doing. And it continues for an eternity. And, that there's, the rules, where you can say, it is like this, but it isn't like this. Or you could say or for eternity in a real conversation, which can't, I mean, a lot of the grammar